The night was quiet at Winterfell, too quiet for Jon Snow to sleep. The wind moved softly through the broken tower, carrying the smell of snow and old stone. Jon sat alone, staring at the flickering candle beside him. His thoughts were heavier than his sword ever was. For years, he had lived with questions he never dared to ask out loud. Who was his mother? Why did people look at him with pity or judgment? Why did Ned Stark always grow silent when Jon asked about his past? That night, everything changed. Bran Stark had asked Jon to come north of the castle walls, near the Heart Tree. Bran's voice had been calm, but his eyes held something strange, something old. Jon had seen that look before. It was the same look Bran had when he spoke of things no one else could see. "You deserve to know," Bran said quietly, his breath turning white in the cold air. "The truth was hidden to protect you, but hiding it has only brought pain." Jon felt his chest tighten. "Know what?" Bran looked at the weirwood tree, its red leaves falling like drops of blood onto the snow. "You are not Ned Stark's bastard." The words struck Jon harder than any blade. He laughed once, short and sharp. "I've known that lie my whole life." "It's not a lie," Bran replied. "It's the truth that was twisted." Jon's smile faded. His hands slowly clenched. "Then speak plainly." Bran turned his chair to face him. "Your mother was Lyanna Stark. Your father was Rhaegar Targaryen. You were born of love, not shame. Your name is Aegon Targaryen." The world seemed to stop. Jon felt as if the ground beneath him had cracked open. A Targaryen. A dragon. The enemy his father died fighting. The family that burned and ruled and went mad. "You're saying I'm a king?" Jon whispered. "I'm saying you have a claim," Bran answered. "Stronger than anyone alive." Jon stepped back as if burned. Memories rushed through him. Robert Baratheon's hatred for Targaryens, Ned's strict silence, the way Cat Stark never truly accepted him. It all made sense now. Too much sense. "My whole life," Jon said slowly, "I was treated like I didn't belong. At Winterfell, at the Wall, everywhere." "That was meant to keep you alive," Bran said. "If Robert knew, he would have killed you as a child." Jon turned away, anger rising like fire in his chest. "So I lived a lie. People spat on me, called me nothing. And all the while, I was something else entirely." Bran's voice softened. "You are still Jon Snow. You still chose honor. You still chose sacrifice." Jon thought of the Wall, the cold, the brothers he lost. Ygritte's face flashed in his mind. The men who stabbed him, calling him traitor. "Would they have followed me if they knew?" he asked bitterly. "Or would they have hated me more?" Bran did not answer. He didn't need to. Later that night, Jon stood alone on the battlements looking south. The realm was bleeding. Queens and kings fought over thrones built on lies and blood. And now he knew the greatest truth of all. He was the son of fire and ice, but truth did not bring peace. It brought a choice. If he stayed silent, the war would continue and others would rule in his place. If he spoke, the realm would burn in new ways. People would fear him. Some would kneel. Others would try to kill him. Jon closed his eyes. "I never wanted a crown," he said to the wind. "I only wanted to do what was right." But the truth did not care about what he wanted. Far to the south, Daenerys Targaryen sat upon her hard-won throne, unaware that the greatest threat to her rule was not an army, but a man who shared her blood and her destiny. The game had changed, and Jon Snow could never be the same again. Jon did not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw fire and snow twisting together. Faces from his past came and went like ghosts. Ned Stark standing stiff and silent. Lyanna Stark screaming in a tower he had never seen. Rhaegar Targaryen, a man he knew only through stories, both noble and cruel depending on who told them. By morning, Jon felt older, not wiser, just heavier. The castle woke as it always did. Soldiers trained in the yard, ravens cried from the towers. Life moved on, unaware that one truth had quietly torn the world open. Jon washed his face with cold water and stared at his reflection. He looked the same. Dark hair, stark eyes. Nothing about him looked like a dragon. Yet Bran's words would not leave him. You were born of love, not shame. He found Sam in the library later that day. Sam was surrounded by scrolls and books, his fingers stained with ink. Jon trusted Sam more than anyone alive. If there was one person who deserved the truth, it was him. Sam smiled when he saw Jon, but the smile faded fast. You look terrible, he said gently. Did something happen? Jon sat across from him. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, in a low voice, he told Sam everything. Lyanna, Rhaegar, the secret marriage, the name Aegon Targaryen. Sam's mouth fell open. All this time, he whispered. All this time, people fought and died over who should rule, and the answer was walking around in black. Jon gave a tired smile. That's one way to put it. Sam shook his head slowly. This changes everything. Daenerys, she believes she's the rightful queen. If she learns the truth, she'll see me as a threat, Jon finished. Or a partner, Sam said, hopeful. Jon stood and walked to the narrow window. Snow was melting in the yard below. I don't know her, he said. I barely know myself anymore. The thought of Daenerys scared him more than he wanted to admit. He had seen her strength, her fire, her certainty. She believed the throne was hers by destiny. What would she do if destiny chose someone else? That same evening, Sansa called Jon to her chambers. She had noticed the change in him, the distance in his eyes. Sansa had learned to read people well, too well. You're hiding something, she said after dismissing the guards, and whatever it is, it's tearing you apart. Jon hesitated. Telling Sansa felt dangerous. She loved him as her brother, but she loved the North more. And secrets, once spoken, never stayed quiet. Still, he told her. Sansa listened without interrupting. Her face did not change much, but her eyes sharpened. When Jon finished, she was silent for a long time. So you're not my brother, she finally said. I am, Jon said quickly. I always will be. She nodded. Blood matters to lords and queens, not to me. Then her voice grew colder. But this truth is power, dangerous power. I don't want it, Jon said. That doesn't matter, Sansa replied. Others will want it for you, or against you. She stood and walked closer. If the realm learns this, the North will be pulled into another war. Our people are tired, broken. So we stay silent, Jon said. For now, Sansa agreed. But secrets like this don't stay buried forever. News arrived days later that Daenerys was marching north. Her armies were vast, unsullied Dothraki dragons. The people whispered her name with fear and hope tangled together. A queen of fire coming to a land of ice. Jon prepared to meet her, his heart heavy with words he could not yet speak. When Daenerys finally arrived, the sky darkened as her dragons circled above Winterfell. The ground shook with their cries. Jon stood in the courtyard as she dismounted, her silver hair shining against her dark coat. She looked powerful, certain, like someone born to rule. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, Jon felt something strange. Recognition, not just respect, something deeper, older. She smiled at him. You are Jon Snow, she said, the king in the north. He bowed his head. I am. And you bent the knee, she said softly. Yes, she studied him, as if weighing him. You don't look like a man who loves kneeling. Jon met her gaze. I did it to protect my people. Her smile widened slightly. Good. That is the kind of ruler I respect. Ruler. The word echoed painfully in his mind. As the feast began that night, Jon sat among laughter and music. But he felt alone. Daenerys sat across from him, her dragon-glass eyes watching everything. Watching him. He wondered how long it would be before she learned the truth, and whether she would still look at him the same way when she did. The feast grew louder as the night went on, but Jon felt the weight of every sound. Cups clashed, people laughed, and songs were sung about heroes long dead. Yet all Jon could hear was his own heartbeat. Across the hall, Daenerys laughed with her advisors, her face warm in the firelight. She looked human there, almost gentle. Not a conqueror, not a queen born of flames. That made the truth harder to carry. Later, when the hall began to empty, Jon stepped outside into the cold. The air was sharp, clean, honest. He preferred it. Footsteps followed him. "I thought I'd find you here," Daenerys said. He turned. She had wrapped herself in a heavy cloak, but the cold did not seem to bother her much. Dragons did not fear winter. "You don't enjoy celebrations?" she asked. "I've never been good at pretending," Jon answered. She smiled faintly. "Neither have I." For a moment, they stood in silence. Then she spoke again. "You look at me like a man carrying a secret." Jon's chest tightened. "You look at me like someone you don't fully trust." Her eyes sharpened. Trust is earned, especially by those with power. He almost laughed. If she only knew. They spoke of the dead rising in the north, of the war to come, of sacrifices that would be needed. Daenerys listened carefully when Jon spoke. She respected him. That much was clear, and that respect frightened him more than hatred ever could. That night, Jon dreamed of dragons flying over Winterfell, their shadows darkening the snow. One dragon breathed fire, the other breathed ice. Both turned toward him. In the morning, the truth began to crack its chains. Sansa watched Daenerys closely, noting how the northern lords stiffened at her presence. Whispers grew. A foreign queen, foreign armies, foreign gods, and always eyes returned to Jon, the man they trusted, the man they would follow into death. Sansa made her choice quietly. She told Tyrion Lannister. They spoke in hushed tones beneath the walls. Sansa's face was calm, but her words were sharp. Tyrion listened, disbelief slowly turning into horror. "If this is true," Tyrion said, rubbing his beard, "then she's not the rightful heir." "No," Sansa replied. "Jon is." Tyrion exhaled slowly. "This will destroy her." "It might save the North," Sansa said. Secrets once spoken grow legs. Tyrion watched Jon differently after that. So did Varys. They spoke of duty and destiny when they thought no one was listening. The idea of Jon as king spread like wildfire beneath the surface, unspoken but alive. Daenerys felt it before she heard it. One evening she confronted Jon in the crypts of Winterfell, surrounded by stone kings and cold ghosts. "People are whispering," she said, "about you, about claims." Jon closed his eyes. There was no running anymore. "It's true," he said. Her breath caught. "What is?" "I am not Ned Stark's bastard," Jon said. "My mother was Lyanna Stark. My father was Rhaegar Targaryen." The silence was crushing. "That's impossible," she whispered. "I wish it were," Jon said. "But it's true." Sam and Bran confirmed it. Her face hardened, pain flickering behind her eyes like dying embers. "So all this time," she said slowly, "they were lying to me." "No," Jon said. "They were protecting me." "And now?" Jon said. "They were protecting me." "And now?" she asked. "What are you protecting now?" He stepped closer. "I don't want your throne. I never have." She laughed, sharp and broken. "Men always say that before they take it." Her dragons roared in the distance, as if sensing her fury. "You have a better claim," she said bitterly. "They will choose you over me." "I won't let them," Jon said. "But you won't stop them either," she replied. That night, Daenerys sat alone, staring into the fire. Every sacrifice she had made, every city she had burned, all for a destiny that was no longer hers alone. The realm had betrayed her, again, and Jon Snow Targaryen had become something dangerous, not because he wanted power, but because others wanted it for him. Winterfell felt colder after that night, not because of the weather, but because something fragile had broken between Jon and Daenerys. They still spoke. They still planned. But the warmth was gone, replaced by careful words and guarded looks. Every conversation felt like walking on thin ice. Jon noticed how people looked at him now. Some with hope, some with fear, some with quiet calculation. Lords who once ignored him now lingered, asking his opinion a little too often. Soldiers straightened when he passed. It made his skin crawl. This is what power feels like, he thought. And he hated it. Daenerys noticed it too. She sat in council, listening as plans were made, but her eyes kept drifting to Jon. Every nod of agreement he received felt like a small betrayal. She had crossed deserts, lost friends, watched her dragons die, and now, without trying, he was becoming everything she had fought to be. Varys spoke one evening when the room was nearly empty. "The realm loves him," he said quietly. "They always have." Daenerys turned slowly. "Love didn't save my family." "No," Varys replied, "but it might save the people." Her jaw tightened. "And what of loyalty?" "Loyalty to a ruler who inspires hope lasts longer than loyalty to fear," Varys said. She dismissed him after that, but his words stayed burning. The army marched north to face the dead. Snow fell thick and heavy, swallowing sound and color. The Night King's presence was a shadow over every step. Fear became a constant companion. On the battlefield, Jon was no prince, no heir. He was a soldier again, swinging his sword, shouting orders, pulling men from the jaws of death. People followed him without thinking, without asking. Daenerys watched from the sky, fire raining down from her dragon. She saw how the living gathered around Jon like a shield, how his voice cut through chaos, how even in terror men trusted him. When the battle ended and dawn broke over piles of ash and ice, victory tasted bitter. Too many were dead. Friends, brothers, children. Daenerys landed near Jon as he knelt beside the fallen. Their eyes met, and for a moment there was no throne between them, just shared loss. "You saved them," she said. "We saved each other," Jon replied. She wanted to believe that, but doubt is a poison that grows in silence. After the dead were defeated, the realm turned its gaze south. King's Landing still stood, Cersei still ruled, and the question no one dared ask grew louder every day. Who would sit the throne when the war was over? Tyrion urged unity. Sansa urged caution. Varys urged caution. Varys urged choice. And the people urged Jon. He refused every whisper, every suggestion. But refusal only made him stronger in their eyes. A man who did not seek power was the man they trusted most with it. Daenerys felt herself slipping. Every smile she gave felt forced. Every cheer felt hollow. The people did not cheer for her anymore. They watched her. One night, alone in her chambers, she stared at her reflection. "I am the dragon," she whispered. "I was meant to rule." But destiny had learned a new name. The march south began under dark skies. Tension followed, like a second army. When King's Landing finally came into view, fear gripped Daenerys' heart. Not of the enemy, but of what she might become. The bells rang as the city surrendered. Jon stood among the soldiers, relief washing over him. It was over. The bloodshed could end. Then Daenerys looked at the Red Keep. All she saw was everything that had been taken from her, and she made her choice. Fire fell from the sky. Jon screamed for it to stop, but the roar of dragons drowned him out. Streets burned. Innocents died. The city became a grave of flame. When it was done, ash covered everything. Jon stood in the ruins, horror carving into his soul. This was not justice. This was not protection. This was tyranny. That night he confronted her among the ashes. "You become what you swore to destroy," he said. She looked at him with burning eyes. "I did what was necessary." "For who?" Jon asked. "For the world," she said. "For our world." He saw then that the woman he cared for was gone, and the realm would not survive her fire. The city smelled of smoke and death. Jon walked through streets that no longer felt real, stepping over blackened stones and broken bodies. Children lay where they had tried to hide. Mothers clutched nothing but ash. Every step felt like a betrayal of the man he had always tried to be. This was not the victory he had fought for. The Unsullied stood guard, faces empty, obeying without question. The Dothraki celebrated, laughing among ruins they did not understand. Fear ruled King's Landing now, not justice. Jon knew what the people were thinking. Some said Daenerys had shown strength. Others whispered the word they feared most, madness. And beneath every whisper was his name. If he had spoken sooner, if he had claimed his truth louder, if he had stopped her. If he had to stopped her. The road beneath the red keep. Tyrion stood behind iron bars, his face pale but his eyes clear. She's lost, Tyrion said before Jon could speak, and she won't stop. Jon swallowed hard. She believes she's saving the world. Every tyrant does, Tyrion replied. And the realm won't follow her after this. They'll follow you. Jon shook his head. I don't want that. That no longer matters, Tyrion said softly. You're the only one who can end this without more blood. The words felt like a sentence. Later, Jon walked alone to the throne room. Snow had begun to fall through the shattered roof, mixing with ash. The Iron Throne stood twisted and broken, half melted by dragon fire. Daenerys stood before it, her back to him, her cloak trailing over the ruins. It's over, she said without turning. The world will be better now. He stepped closer. It won't, he said. Not like this. She turned, her face fierce, her eyes shining. They didn't choose me. I chose them. I chose to free them from a broken world. You burn children, Jon said, his voice cracking. They would have grown to hate me, she replied calmly. Now they won't. Jon felt something inside him break. They won't follow you, he said. Not after this. They will, she said. Or they will fear me. She stepped closer, touching his face. Together we can make it right. You and I. Fire and ice. We can rule justly. For a heartbeat. He wanted to believe her, wanted to believe love could fix what power had destroyed. But he saw it clearly now. She would burn the world to save it. I love you, Jon whispered. She smiled. And I love you. He held her, feeling her warmth, her life, her fire. And then he did what the realm could not. When she fell, the world seemed to stop breathing. Her blood stained the snow. Jon held her as the life left her eyes, tears freezing on his cheeks. The dragon screamed. Drogon's roar shook the ruins. He nudged Daenerys' body, then turned his burning gaze to Jon. For a long moment, Jon waited for death. Instead, Drogon breathed fire upon the throne, melting it into nothing. Then he lifted Daenerys' body and flew away, leaving silence behind. Jon collapsed. Days later, the lords of the realm gathered. They spoke of justice, of peace, of choosing a ruler. They all looked at Jon. He refused. I will not rule, he said. The throne destroyed everyone who touched it. They chose another path, one built on counsel, not crowns. Jon was sent north, back to the cove, back to the wall. Exile, they called it. Mercy, he called it. As he rode beyond the gates, snow falling softly, Jon Snow felt lighter than he had in years. He was no king. He was free. Jon rode north with the wind cutting against his face, but for once, he did not fight it. The wall rose ahead of him, tall and silent, the same as it had always been. Yet Jon knew he was not the same man who had once arrived there as a lost boy with a bastard's name. The gates opened without ceremony. No cheers, no insults, just quiet acceptance. The Night's Watch was a shadow of what it once was, but it still stood, guarding a realm that no longer feared the dark the way it used to. Some brothers recognized him. Some bowed their heads. Others looked away, unsure how to treat a man who had been a king, a traitor, and a savior all at once. Jon gave them nothing but a nod. That night he stood atop the wall, staring into the endless white beyond. The world felt vast again, not trapped by crowns and thrones. Ghosts appeared beside him, silent as ever, red eyes glowing softly in the dark. Jon rested a hand on his fur. "I did what I thought was right," Jon said quietly. "I hope it was enough." The wind did not answer, but Ghost stayed. Days turned into weeks. Jon settled into the rhythm of duty without ambition. He trained recruits, repaired old defenses, and listened more than he spoke. Stories traveled south of him, a council ruling in King's Landing, wars avoided, rebellions talked down instead of burned. The realm was fragile, but it was alive. Sometimes, at night, Jon dreamed. He dreamed of a woman with silver hair standing in fire. He dreamed of dragons crying into the sky. He dreamed of a throne melting, of snow covering blood, of a choice that could never be undone. But the dreams came less often. One morning, Tormund Giantsbane appeared at the gates, grinning like a man who had never bowed to anything in his life. "You look miserable," Tormund said. "That means you belong here." Jon laughed for the first time in a long while. Beyond the wall, the free folk waited. They did not care about claims or bloodlines. They cared about strength, honesty, and survival. When Jon chose to ride with them, no one stopped him. There were no vows left to break, no crowns left to refuse. As he crossed into the true north, Jon felt something close to peace. He was not Aegon Targaryen. He was not king in the north. He was Jon Snow, a man who knew the truth, carried it, and chose to lay it down. And in a world finally learning to live without thrones, that choice mattered more than any crown ever could.